Hey guys, it's Jordan here from SwitchWatch. Now I know what you're all thinking, why aren't you doing an intro showing your weirdly pointy face? Well, this morning I went for my haircut and I look like a complete tool. Well, more than normal anyway, so you're not seeing it until I've sorted it out until the next video. Anyways, today we're going to a retro inspired run and gun, Gunlord X. And you know I love a good retro game. There's always something so exciting and intriguing about a brand new release on a dead retro system. While not as rare as you may think, there are often a handful of new titles produced and sold for systems that their makers long gave up on, whether it be the RPG Pure Solar on the Mega Drive or like the game we have here today, Gunlord, which was released on the Dreamcast and Neo Geo in 2012. Why so exciting? Well, if they're going against the odds and trying to be financially successful on such an old system, they pretty much have to be a stellar game. The story for Gunlord X is very authentic to its era, as in it's a bit of fluff in a macho action-packed way whereby you are a bloke who is on a mission to save his missus from an evil planet-conquering force who steal the souls of those that they vanquish. The story is told through mostly static cutscenes similar to what you would find back in the day, and I like it. It obviously makes zero impact on the game as a whole, but as a faux retro platforming run and gun, it's exactly what I wanted. Technically speaking, this is an upgraded version of Gunlord, as can be seen in the added X to the name. If you've played the original, this won't be quite a brand new experience, but it does have plenty of tweaks and additions that may make it more enticing. Being a run and gun is nothing unique in the arcade scene, but for me, what sets Gunlord apart was the huge levels. There are 9 stages in total, but most of them are giant that necessitate exploration. Initially it's a bit overwhelming, you're dumped into first level, it kind of becomes a where the heck do I kind of go kind of game, but once you realize it is actually quite linear, you'll find yourself gravitating towards the end goal no matter what. There's lots of platforming and lots of blasting alien creatures, and you can clearly see the inspiration from the well-loved Turrican, with a sprinkling of Metroid in there too. It's full run and gun, so it's very action based, and you'll be pretty much having your finger on the trigger the entire time. There are a few different weapons at your disposal, and they come in classic arcade fashion where you really have to be careful as to which you pick up, as the new one will always override the one you currently have. It's a minor complaint, but the weapon pickups are so small and often really close together, making it very difficult to actually pick up the one you want. It didn't make too much of a difference since they all felt equally decent to use, but I would have preferred it if they perhaps spread them apart a little more and maybe not be so common. There are dozens of enemies and hazards in your way, and it can be tough at points due to being only be able to take a few hits before you die. It's supposedly a bit easier than the original game, however. Aside from balancing, I suspect the newly implemented twin stick controls will make it far less of a task to take down your enemies. You can still play with the original settings if you want to hold down an extra button to shoot in different directions, but why would you want that when you can just twin stick it? It's not 360 movement, so you're still limited to 8 directions, but it flows much better this way, and you definitely feel far more nimble. Jumping is mapped to the shoulder buttons, but that feels less weird than it sounds. For those who played the original before, you're probably more curious about the changes to this port. The developers are pretty adamant that this is more of a remake than an actual straight port due to some big additions to both gameplay and presentation. As this is the gameplay section, I'll just focus on that for a second. Firstly, the games have been expanded somewhat. There are now 4 additional bosses to take shots at, levels have been made larger and filled with more secrets, as well as the difficulty curve being balanced. Gunlord was a majorly tough game, and so it has been tweaked here slightly. For a start, there is an autosave feature whereby you can start from the end of the level you just finished, rather than getting a full game over and having to start from the beginning of the whole game. It makes it far more scalable, but will still test your skills. And if you die mid-stage, don't worry, you'll respawn almost exactly where you died. And don't worry, those fans of the original, you'll still be in for a challenge, but at least many people might be able to see it through to the end this time. The gameplay overall is excellent, it's fast, fluid, and is almost a top tier game in terms of run and gun action on the Switch. It aims to be a Turrican game, and I think it exceeds that goal. Maybe Turrican fans have already rolled up their sleeves to offer me to take it outside, but I do think it's more enjoyable. The audio is fantastic here. I'm not entirely sure if the music here is authentic to its original Neo Geo capabilities because it sounds very clear. The tracks sound like European trance music, not surprising considering the game was crafted in Germany, which adds to the futuristic feeling of the setting. Let's have a quick listen.
Warning, boss encounter.
If I had a minor nitpick, it would be the highly noticeable dead air when the song ends until it begins again. Unfortunately, it's not looped indefinitely like you'd pretty much find in any game of this kind, so it just come off as a little bit amateurish there, as though the songs weren't initially composed for this game. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's just the feeling that I got. Visually, the game is going for hand-drawn 16-bit era sprites in order to fit in with the old era. I think it looks very gorgeous indeed if you're into this retro pixel work. I mean, had you played this bad boy in the mid-90s in your local arcade or perhaps your local fish and chip shop, Gunlord would have fit right in and been one of the best lookers around. In terms of visual upgrades between the original Gunlord and this may not be entirely discernible unless compared side by side, but added parallax scrolling elements plus improved effects add minor icing on the cake. What's most exciting was the addition of widescreen support. Sure, as you can see by the footage, it's not true widescreen, but it's close enough. The extra width you're given to spot enemies, platforms and secret locations opens the game up much more than originally. It also helps negate the where the heck do I go kind of vibe somewhat. In regards to still not having full screen, unless you're a heathen and want to stretch it out, there are plenty of border art to choose from. It puts the recent Castlevania collection to shame. Why don't more games offer more borders like this? Performance wise, the developers promised a stable 60 frames per second in both docked and handheld mode, and although I can't 100% verify no small dips, it looks like their promise has been kept. It's a bit weird having an old arcade game running so perfectly, especially one as hectic as this where you'd pretty much expect the game to turn into sludge at points. But no, this is silky smooth all the way through, you'll be pleased to hear. It's worth noting that those who only have a little bit of space left on their Switch or SD card, Gunlord X comes in at around 150 megabytes, which is very impressive, at least in this day and age. Value-wise, Gunlord X is coming in at £8.99 in the UK, €9.99 in Europe, and probably around that price in dollars. I think that's very reasonable value for a game like this. It may have its roots in arcade action, but it feels like a much fuller game than what you would get if you picked up one of the Neo Geo games on the Switch, and it's not that much more expensive. It's also a great game. I wouldn't say the replay value is quite so strong with this one despite the New Game Plus, but the handful of hours worth of gameplay you'll get from it is certainly worth the price of admission. I think it's good value. If you're looking to pick up Gunlord X but need some eShop credit, we'll pop some links below as to where you can find them. Affiliate links, so every purchase helps us out massively. Just something to think about if you want to support us with our efforts in reviewing these Switch games. Speaking of which, if you're a regular here, then we love you guys. Thank you all for your thumbs up, your comments and shares. It helps us out massively, and we really couldn't do this without you guys. Be sure to keep it up as we rocket towards 30,000 subscribers. If you're new here, then consider joining in and getting us to that magical number. Plus, you'll get all our awesome Nintendo Switch content, reviews, gameplays, and a feature here and there. It is well worth it. Before we get into my final thoughts, yes, we are giving away a download code for Gunlord X, thanks to developers who kindly gave us an extra one. It's pretty simple to enter. By the time this video has gone up, I'll have put out a tweet on Twitter asking you guys to follow me at SoWhatAboutGame, also the development team, as well as retweeting that tweet. I can't show you yet because I haven't done it yet, but if you follow me on Twitter and head over to my page after this video, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. I'll pick a winner 24 hours later, so early birds catches the worm, right? Everything will be handled on Twitter. That's where I'll inform you that you've won and give you the code, so good luck with that. On to my final thoughts. Overall, I'm just happy that Gunlord is now available on a far more accessible platform. As cool as it was to have a new release on both Neo Geo and Dreamcast, it almost seems like a waste to keep it so limited and away from the hands of everyone. Now it's here on the Switch, and it's certainly worth the modest price of admission to experience a fantastic run and gun ride. It might not be a top tier essential release on the Switch, but you'll still have a great time with it if you're into Turrican or perhaps a more action packed Metroid game. It looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic, and it plays pretty fantastic. The whole game is fantastic. It's an 8.5 out of 10. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Now I suggest you head over to watch some of our recent video reviews. We've had a lot recently. Assassin's Creed, Redout, Castlevania. Go check one of those out and I'll see you guys over there. Take care.